1993 at 1:49 a.m. to Brian and Christina, weighing 7 pounds, 12 ounces, and 20 1/4 inches long. Sydney was such a sweet baby. From the beginning, she had the best personality and always made us laugh. This is their point of view, sorry. Within the first few months, we discovered that Sydney had kidney problems and couldn't stay in daycare. This led to Sydney spending 2 great years at Mary's with Jasmine and Alex. Sydney had so many fun times with them, and they are family to her. She loved to dress herself up in mismatched clothes and play all day. We spent countless hours searching for Passy, Bear, or her he-horsey. She has had so many nicknames over the years, some of which are Ubu, Boo Boo, Kidney, Fred, Cindy, and Sid Vicious. Sydney was the first grandchild on both sides of the family. When she was little, When she was little, she used to stay some with my Aunt Sarah Jo and Uncle John A. Aunt Jo used to threaten to spank her with a wooden spoon. To this day, Sydney has a fear of wooden spoons and doesn't even want them in our kitchen. Sydney has always been a good student, but hasn't always had a great relationship with teachers. Sydney's 4-year-old kindergarten teacher and first grade teacher called us in for a meeting and told us that Sydney was too social and too busy talking and not listening, and she would have problems with her studies later in school. The red light method was used in 5K, and it was nothing unusual for Sydney to have lots of yellow and red days. She always kept us on our toes. Sydney went to the first grade, and we quickly figured out that she would be reading sight words. We spent night after night going over flashcards. We would go over a word as simple as it, and ask what sound the I made, and she would say, eh. And ask her what sound the T made, and she would say, tuh. And we would ask her to put those two sounds together, and she would say, tuh. We didn't think she would ever learn to blend sounds and read. We are proud to say she finally mastered reading. Good job, Sydney. When she was a little girl, one thing she loved to do was go fishing. Except she wouldn't just throw the fish back. She first had to name each one of them, either Lemon or Jessica, give them a kiss, and then she would throw them back in the river. For 2 summers, Pam was her babysitter. They had so many fun times during those summers, even if it was just watching Bob the Builder and eating bagel bites. Anything that they did together was fun. One of Sydney's favorite times was playing Crack the Egg with Jared and Joseph on the trampoline. There was also the time Pam let Sydney fall off the trampoline head first. It was not my fault. Sydney has always been a big TV fan. From Barney to Wizard of Oz, Mary-Kate and Ashley movies, and even now she can be found constantly watching One Tree Hill, Grey's Anatomy, and she has worn out an entire collection of Gilmore Girls. Sydney loves cows and hates stickers. Even as a baby, she would scream if you even thought of putting a sticker on her. Sydney loves Mexican food and chocolate-dipped ice cream cones from Dairy Queen. Food is definitely the way to her heart. Sydney should also have a fear of hairbrushes, and if you have any questions about that, you should see her cousin Lacey. Sydney was an only child for 13 years and 9 months. When I asked Sydney what her favorite memory was, she said, when Bailey was born. Sydney spent a lot of the summer of 2003 at Brookwood Hospital in the NICU. Instead of complaining, she developed a love for NICU babies and now desires to be a nurse taking care of them. She also learned where all the good vending machines are at Brookwood and would quickly let you know which machines had ice cream and other good stuff in them. Sydney is the best big sister ever. Sydney is so funny with Bailey and loves to pick at her. One day in the grocery store, Bailey told Sydney that her muscle hurt. Sydney told her, Bailey, you do know you have more than one muscle, don't you? And Bailey answered, duh, I have 2. Sydney laughed the whole way through the grocery store. There is nothing sweeter than the sound of those two sisters laughing together. Sydney has had health issues this year and stress that no high school student should ever have to face, and she has handled all her problems with grace, and she graduated May 26, 2011, 7th in her class of 166 with a GPA of 4.1. She was a member of the soccer team, debate team, math team, honor society, and Spanish club. She was co-editor of the annual. She has worked as a pharmacy technician for the past 2 years at Pleasant Grove Drugs. She will never understand how much joy and laughter she has brought to our lives. We are so proud of her accomplishments and her love of God. We love her to the moon and back, and she will always be our baby. I had to add a little touch myself here, because Sydney and I spent couple summers together. I have seen you, Sydney, grow from a goofy, energetic, adorable Sid Vicious to a sweet, caring, smart, still goofy, beautiful Christian young lady. I will never forget all the fun we had when I babysat you. Your mom told me at that time to try to throw in some good moral lessons while we played. I found that kind of hard when we were watching cartoons or jumping on the trampoline or making videos. But one time I did get a chance to throw in some lessons when I actually got you to play Barbies one time. I don't know how much good the lessons did. I really think that those lessons just convinced you that playing with Barbies really was just weird. I don't think you ever played with them again. I hope you did learn some lessons, like never play crack the egg with 3 adults. If your dog gets stuff stuck to its tail, it's the owner's responsibility to get it cleaned off, even if the owner is 8 years old. Not the babysitter's responsibility. Just because you hear a hissing in the cabinet, it doesn't mean there's a snake in there. It could just mean that the Pam spray fell over and the nozzle got pushed down and cooking spray is just spraying all over the cabinet. It also means sometimes the 8-year-old has to check out the crazy noises. Sometimes the best songs are the one you make your own tune to. By the way, your version of Jesus Rose of Sharon, the one you sang to me while you sat on my hip here as I was lying on the couch, is my favorite version. And the biggest lesson of all, your babysitter is not just the girl watching you till your parents come home. She's not just the girl who plays whatever you want all day long. She's not just your personal seat you can sit on all morning while you wake up. She's your friend, and this babysitter will always be your friend. Good luck at Faulkner. You're going to love it.